Hello everyone, welcome again. So in today's video, we'll learn about the routes that are present in our local Windows PC or in your Linux PC or in your Mac PC. So what do we mean by a route? So once you are trying to access a website after you get the IP via DNS, you need to have some hops or some address via which you can reach to that destination IP. So for that destination IP, how you will reach to the destination IP? We need to reach to the destination IP via some hops. So this is called as route. In a very simple term, this is how you can imagine what is a route. We will discuss routing in very details in later videos, but as of now, you can imagine that route is nothing but a combination of hops or some networking devices through which you can reach to your destination IP address. So let's now open command prompt and let me show you the routing table that our PC has by default. Open terminal, and if you're using Mac also you can open terminal. I'm using Windows, that's why I've opened command prompt here. So to view all the routes, what you need to print, that is route print. This is the command that you need to provide to see the routes. This has three sections. The first section is the interface list, the second section is the IPv4 routing table, and the third section is IPv6 routing table. As I've said in my previous video, we'll discuss in detail about IPv4 and IPv6 IP addressing in later videos. For now, let's look at what the interface list and the IPv4 routing table tells us. So under the interface list, the first interface, you can see it's Realtek PCIe GBE family controller. GBE means gigabit Ethernet. This is the physical LAN port that you have in your PC or in your laptop. Second one is Realtek USB FE family controller. So the second one is USB fast Ethernet port. This is one of the USB ports that you are having in your laptop. The third and the fourth one are virtual adapter. These are implemented over your wireless LAN adapter chip. These are not real and physical adapters, but these are virtual. The fifth one is the actual hardware which controls your PC's wireless capability and implements that. It is a Qualcomm Ethos wireless network adapter. This is a small chip which is installed in your PC or laptop. And the sixth one is the Bluetooth device that you use to connect through your mobile devices and other devices. And the last one, you can see software loopback interface one. So what is a loopback interface? Loopback interface is nothing but your laptop's own interface, which is virtual. So if you want to test connectivity from your laptop to your laptop itself, you do that connectivity test through the loopback interface. So now let's look at the IPv4 routing table here. The first one is 0.0.0.0. Net mask is 0.0.0.0. Gateway is 192.168.0.1. Interface is 192.168.0.112. Metric is 50. What is metric? We'll discuss in routing in detail. But for now, assume that the metric tells us that the lower the metric, the higher the priority. And among all these lists, our PC will choose the route with the least metric. So among all of these routes, our PC will choose the first one to reach to any destination. So what is 0.0.0.0? So as I have said in my last video, 0.0.0.0 is called as the default route, which is also called the last resort. So when your PC doesn't have any specific routing entry for a destination website, your PC uses this 0.0.0.0 to reach to that website. And this 0.0.0.0 is connected to your ISP's router, one of the router. that router is called as the default gateway. So default route is connected to default gateway, and through default gateway is a router which is present at your ISP, and default gateway knows all the routes through which you can reach to your destination website. So the default gateway here is 192.168.0.1, and to which interface it is connected to, it is 192.168.0.112. Now let's look at another output that I showed you yesterday. This is IP config, or PC's IP configuration. So here you can see our IPv4 address that we have received, that is 192.168.0.112. This is our laptop's own private IP. What is private IP, what is public IP, we'll discuss detail later in IP addressing, but for now remember that this is our laptop's private IP, and our default gateway is 192.168.0.1. So to connect to any website, we'll choose the default route, that is the first route that you can see here, and default route is connected to default gateway. And to which interface? Interface is the point through which I'm connected to the default gateway. What is the point here locally? That point is our laptop itself, and that is our laptop's own IP address, 192.168.0.112. So this is the most important route that you are having. If this is gone, you can assume that you won't be able to connect to internet. So when your PC gets configuration from your ISP through DHCP or you statically assign IP, this route gets installed automatically just at the moment when you enter the default gateway address. So at the moment when you enter the default gateway address, your PC automatically creates a route for this 0.0.0.0 destination with that default gateway address, and it uses its own IP address as the interface, because this is the point from where your PC is connecting to ISP. Now what are these IP addresses? 127.0.0.0, 127.0.0.0.1. These you can see that all of them are written as on link. So on link means you don't need to get to anywhere else to reach to these IP addresses. These IP addresses are present locally in your laptop itself. So on link means it's present in your laptop, in your network card. So you don't need to reach to any other interface to reach to these IP addresses. Like for example, this 127.0.0.1, this IP address is known as the link local IP address, or the it's not the link local IP address, it's the loopback IP address. So 127.0.0.1 is known as the loopback IP address. So if you want to test whether your PC's network stack is working fine or not, you can just ping to 127.0.0.1. You can see after I'm doing a ping test, it's giving me reply that it means that my PC's network card is functioning fine. There is no issues. So for example, if you deploy one web server in your PC and if you run it locally, it runs in suppose the server is running in your laptop and you want to access the website. So how do you access that? If you on your browser, if you type 127.0.0.1 port 80 or 443, you will be able to access that website. This is the default configuration for all the web servers. And later you can change that if you want to if you want your website to listen in a different IP, you can change that later, but by default it listens on 127.0.0.1 locally. And now next, if you want to know in detail about all these IP addresses and why, for what each of these different IP addresses are having different purposes. So if you want to know for what purpose these IP addresses are used, you can open your browser and you can search for reserved IP v4 addresses. and open the Wikipedia link. Here it is. So for IPv4, these are all reserved one. So you can study in detail for what purpose these are used. But now, as this is a very basic stage, we don't want to get into much details. Later, when we will be discussing routing and all, we'll come across these IP addresses later. So I hope you have liked this video, and please like, share and subscribe. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching.